Hello everyone, Mr. Peabody here. I'm going to talk to you about climate change. Now, I don't edit my videos. These are one-offs. I don't script them. I don't do anything. I just get on here and talk. Right, so I'm not going to show you articles that I've read. I'm not going to show you things that I've seen. I'm just going to talk to you. The fact is, they say that white man is responsible for the climate change, right? Plus, on the other side of the coin, they say that white man is the most prominent person to discredit climate change. Well, I'll start with this. Most people that are educated can think for themselves, right? So when they say white man, they assume that the white man is the most educated. And in most cases, that's probably true. But what are they educated in? Right? So, I mean, it's not the education you get, it's what you're taught. So if you're taught one thing or the other, globally, that is going to conflict. Anyway, I'm not worried about that too much, but they're the articles that I've been looking at, and they're the things I've been seeing. So white man is mainly responsible for the climate change, and that white man is more prevalent to disclaiming climate change. Right? Now, is climate change a real thing? Okay? Yes, climate change is a real thing. But what are they saying is the cause of climate change? Now, they're saying fossil fuels. They're saying CO2 in the atmosphere and the rest of that. Let me talk about climate change on a much smaller scale. Okay? Let's say you've got a block of land and it's covered in trees. Okay, so in the middle of the day, the sun beats down and it hits the trees. And underneath the trees, you've got shade. But also, it hits the trees, some of it's absorbed by the trees, and then it's reflected out, right? If you're talking about a cleared block of land, so there's no trees at all, the sun hits the ground. The ground absorbs some of the heat, but a lot of it gets reflected back up into the atmosphere and hangs around. Right, so if you take the trees away, that block of land is going to be hotter than the one next to it that has trees in it. And as you get more people occupying the same space, the same thing happens. You need to house these people. So what do? You clear the land, right? So the natural protection for the land is gone, and you put in a house, right? And what's the house got? It's either got a tin roof or a tile roof or whatever, and the sun hits those roofs and hits the ground and reflects heat back into the atmosphere. So it's not really absorbed. Some of it is, but for the most part it's reflected back. And so the space around that house is warmer. I mean, I don't know if I'm explaining it all that well, but the fact is, if you've got trees and they're absorbing and they're not reflecting so much back into the atmosphere, that's a good thing. But if you've got no trees, then you're bouncing the stuff right back into the atmosphere. And we're talking about climate change, all right? So we're talking about, they're mainly talking about global climate change. I'm talking about micro climate, all right? So in a certain area, so in a small area, right? If you change anything in that area, then the climate changes. Now, if you expand that, then a whole lot of small little climate changes creates a larger climate change. Alright, so yeah, you need more water, it's going to heat up, and things like that. And plus, if you put more people in the area, that does something completely different as well. But they're blaming everything as it's climate change. Well, I think it's more of a problem with organisation and sort of like relegating and making plans for the future. Instead of piling a whole lot of people into a certain area and saying, hey, go for it. It's like, because that always causes a problem, especially with the road system, because it's like, hey, here's one road going in and out, and let's put all these people in that one place. Well, all of a sudden you've got a traffic problem because there's only one road going in and out. Didn't think ahead. Also, they keep on going on about CO2. CO2. What's the percentage of CO2 in the Earth's atmosphere? It's roughly, I think it's 0.0. It's either 0.05 or 0.005. I can't remember. But it's very low. All right, let's look at the CO2 concentration of Mars, which is much, much higher. And if you land on Mars, it's freezing. Interesting. Also, if you look at the graph of global warming and everything like that, if you look before the Industrial Revolution, it's fairly stable. If you look at during the Industrial Revolution, it's fairly stable. And then a couple of decades and decades and decades past, now it's rising. Right, but if you look well before the Industrial Revolution, and you go back and back and back, you'll see that the temperature was much higher on the planet than it is today. That's interesting. What was the population back then? Not so much. What was the industrial carbon emissions? Nothing. So, what they're blaming climate change on is the problem. Okay? Is there climate change? Yes. But what they're blaming it on is incorrect. And they're fiddling the digits to get you to believe that what you are doing is causing the problem. No. You are having a very minimal impact on the Earth. Right? The Earth will do its own thing. It will increase, decrease temperature as it sees fit. Right? And is pollution a bad thing? Yes, it is. Right? But CO2 is not causing climate change. And also, here's the other thing is with the bushfires. Well, climate change has caused the bushfires. Bull. That's absolutely ridiculous, right? The fact is, even before places were populated, blah, 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 there was bushfires. Bushfires, forest fires, same thing, wherever you are in the world, doesn't matter. The fact is, there was always natural fires, right? The difference now is the bushfire or forest fire is a much bigger issue. The fact is, because we have spread our community out into those areas that are prone to fire. So now the bushfire becomes a big problem because there's a community in the middle of the fire. So let's just step back and think about what we're saying. Right? Are bushfires more prevalent now than they were before? Well, possibly, because now you've got idiots that light fires. and idiots that don't care and they throw their trash out the window, and idiots that will flick a cigarette out the window, right? So you've got more human presence in the area. You've got more people using power tools and lighting backyard barbecues and deciding to add a little bit of juice to the fire, and all of a sudden an accident occurs and whoosh, you've got a bushfire. So you've got more human interaction with the environment, so more chances of making a mistake. It's a big topic. I think I've strayed way off. But basically, no, our impact on the environment, as bad as we are, is not causing the earth to heat up. But we do change our climate in our area by cutting down trees and putting up housing, and it's a big topic. Anyway, I think I've said enough for now. So anyway, take care and see you later.